Hello, my name is Darwynn McPherson. In this video, I'm breaking down 6 mistakes men consistently make in relationships. Mistakes that don't feel wrong in the moment, quietly destabilize everything over time. And this video isn't about bad intentions, being toxic, and it's not about telling men to stop caring. Before you go any further, understand one thing. This is a money pill perspective. That means we're not judging behavior based on how it feels, we're judging it based on what it produces. Most relationships advice focuses on being nicer, calm, or more understanding. This video focuses on why those strategies often backfire when they're aimed at approval instead of stability. If you ever felt like you were doing everything right and still losing ground, this will explain why. So we're going to talk about 6 things men do to damage relationships. First thing, optimizing for approval instead of stability. Most relationship damage starts when a man prioritizes being approved of instead of building something stable. Now look, I want you to think hard about this. Imagine a man who enters a relationship focused on keeping things smooth. He avoids disagreements, softens his opinions, and constantly checks whether she's happy. Not because he's weak, because he believes approval equals security. Early on, it works. There's less friction, fewer arguments, more reassurance. From the outside, that relationship looks healthy. Internally, though something important is happening, he's training that relationship to reward appeasement, not leadership or direction. Over time, stability doesn't come from avoiding discomfort. It comes from consistency, boundaries, and the ability to absorb short-term tension for long-term health. When approval becomes the metric, those things get sacrificed. The problem isn't he's being kind. The problem is optimization. When every decision is filtered through, will this upset her? Instead of, does this strengthen the relationship? Outcomes slowly deteriorate. And by the time instability shows up, the habits that caused it are already locked in. This is where most men get confused. They think they're doing the right things, but they're optimizing for the wrong result. Mistake number 2, believing good intentions protect outcomes. One of the most common mistakes men make is assuming that good intentions will protect them from bad outcomes. Imagine a man who believes that because his heart is in the right place, the relationship will naturally work itself out. He's honest, loyal, emotionally available, and genuinely wants things to succeed. In his mind, that should count for something. But relationships don't respond to intent. They respond to incentives and structure. You can mean well and still create instability if the systems you're operating in rewards the wrong behaviors. This is where a lot of men get blindsided. When things start going wrong, they don't question the structure of the relationship. They question themselves. Oh, maybe I didn't communicate enough. Maybe I wasn't supportive enough. So they double down on effort instead of correcting direction. The issue isn't that good intentions are bad. It's that intentions don't override mechanics. Stability comes from boundaries, consistency, and leverage, not from sincerity alone. When men confuse intent with protection, they keep doing more of what feels right while outcomes quietly get worse. And by the time they realize intentions isn't enough, the relationship has already recalibrated against them. Mistake number 3, confusing early smoothness with long-term health. A relationship can feel calm early on while quietly becoming unstable underneath. Imagine the first few months of a relationship where everything feels easy. Arguments are rare, disagreements get smoothed over quickly. He lets small things slide because peace feels like progress. From the outside, it looks like maturity. From the inside, it feels like success. But what's actually happening is conflict avoidance, not conflict resolution. Early smoothness often comes from novelty, attraction, and flexibility, not from a tested structure. Problems don't disappear, they just get deferred. And when issues are constantly postponed, the relationship never learns how to handle tension in a healthy way. Over time, unresolved friction accumulates. When stress finally shows up, finances, life pressure, expectations, the relationship lacks the tools to absorb it. What once felt easy suddenly feels fragile. The mistake is not enjoying peace early on. The mistake is assuming peace equals health. Stability isn't the absence of conflict. It's the ability to handle it without collapsing. Mistake number 4, trading leverage for validation. Many men give up influence in a relationship without realizing it, one concession at a time. Imagine a man who starts adjusting his boundaries to keep the relationship comfortable. He changes routines, drop priorities, stop pushing back on things that matter to him, not because he's forced to, because he wants validation that the relationship is secure. Each individual compromise feels harmless, even loving, but over time, those compromises stack up into something structural. He no longer has leverage. I'm not talking about dominance, I'm talking about leverage, the ability to influence direction, pace, and standards. Leverage is not about control, it's about having options, boundaries, and the willingness to tolerate short-term discomfort to protect long-term balance. When validation becomes more important than position, leverage erodes quietly. The danger isn't that she suddenly becomes unreasonable. It's that the relationship adapts to the new balance. Expectations shift, as flexibility becomes assumed, as needs become secondary. By the time problems surface, the leverage that could correct them is already gone. And regaining it later feels disruptive, even threatening, because the system has already adjusted around his concessions. Mistake number 5, Absorbing costs to keep the peace. When one person consistently absorbs the cost to avoid conflict, the relationship quality recalibrates against them. Imagine a man who always takes the hit when something goes wrong. He apologizes first. He gives in to keep things calm. He sacrifices time, energy, or priorities because he believes peace is worth the cost. At first, this feels reasonable, mature. Relationships don't treat sacrifice as neutral. They treat it as information. Over time, the system learns who absorbs discomfort and who doesn't. When one person consistently pays the price, the other person doesn't become evil. The structure simply adapts. Expectations shift. What was once appreciated becomes expected. What was once optional becomes assumed. This is where instability starts forming, not because of malice, but because balance disappears. The man becomes the shock absorber for the relationship, carrying stress so nothing else has to change. Eventually, resentment builds or exhaustion sets in. And when he finally pushes back, when he finally gets fed the fuck up, it feels sudden and unreasonable. Not because it is, but because the relationship was trained to operate without his resistance. Peace, bought through self-assurance, is temporary. Stability requires shared costs, not silent sacrifice. Mistake number 6, repeating approval seeking when outcomes worsen. When relationships start deteriorating, many men respond by doing more of what already isn't working. Like, imagine a man who senses the relationship is slipping. Communication feels colder, affection drops, respect feels inconsistent. Instead of stepping back to assess structure, he panics internally. So he increases effort. He becomes more accommodating, more reassuring, more available. He explains himself more. He tries harder to win back approval, believing the problem is a lack of effort, not a flawed strategy. But this creates a feedback loop. The more approval he seeks, the less leverage he has. The less leverage he has, the less effective his actions become. What started as a response to deterioration ends up accelerating it. This is where men often misdiagnose the situation. They assume declining approval means they're doing something wrong, when in reality it means the relationship structure has already shifted against them. At that point, approval seeking stops being corrective and becomes corrosive. It signals desperation instead of direction. And once that signal is sent consistently, the outcome is almost always the same. Further loss of attraction, respect, and stability. The strategy is an effort. It's repeating the wrong behavior after the data is already in. So, the next time you see a man in a relationship slowly losing respect, leverage, or stability, pay attention to what he's optimizing for. If he's focused on structure, boundaries, and shared costs, the relationship usually holds up. But if everything he does is filtered through approval, keeping the peace, avoiding tension, absorbing costs, the outcome is almost always the same, no matter how good his intentions are. Relationships don't reward sincerity. They reward systems that can handle pressure. All right, that's my time. Check out this video next.